A black explorer reached the North Pole first. A black scientist revolutionized blood banks. And the first black woman millionaire? It wasn't who you think. These hidden black history facts will change how you see the past. Ever heard of the first black pilot in the U.S.? Probably not, because history erased his name. Emery Malek earned his pilot's license in 1912, but when World War I came, he was denied entry into military aviation simply because of his race. And what if I told you that 2,000 years before Europe's Industrial Revolution, an African civilization was already smelting high-quality steel? The Haya people of Tanzania were perfecting steel production in 200 BCE, long before the West. Speaking of early pioneers, did you know the first black lead expedition to the North Pole happened in 1909? Matthew Henson, an explorer, reached the North Pole with Robert Peary, but because of his race, history books barely mention him. Now let's talk about world-changing black inventors. If you know anyone with kidney disease, you might want to thank Dr. Georgiana Simpson, one of the first black women to earn a PhD. She helped develop the first home dialysis machine, making kidney treatment more accessible for millions. And did you know that a black woman was one of the first female architects in America? In 1942, Beverly Lorraine Green became the first licensed black female architect, working on projects like the United Nations headquarters in New York. Now let's talk about sports history. Ever heard of John Baxter Taylor Jr.? Probably not, but he made history in 1908 as the first black American to win an Olympic gold medal in an individual event. Meanwhile, the Old West wasn't just cowboys and gunfights. 1 in 4 cowboys was black. Hollywood erased them from history, but black cowboys played a major role in taming the frontier. Back to innovation. Have you ever used a disposable syringe? In 1974, Phil Brooks, a black scientist, patented the first disposable syringe, revolutionizing medicine and making procedures safer worldwide. And what about the light bulb? Thomas Edison gets all the credit, but Lewis Latimer was the one who improved the filament, making light bulbs last longer and cheaper to produce. Golfers, this one's for you. The first automatic golf tee? That was invented by George F. Grant, a black dentist, in 1899, changing how golf was played. And when it comes to life-saving medical advancements, Dr. Charles Drew changed the world by developing blood banks and plasma storage, saving millions of lives. Now let's talk black millionaires. Many think Madam C.J. Walker was the first black woman millionaire, but in reality, it was Mary Ellen Pleasant. A formerly enslaved woman, she built her fortune through real estate and investments during the gold rush. And speaking of fearless women, Bessie Coleman became the first licensed black female pilot in 1921. But she had to go to France because no American flight school would accept her. What about life-changing medical technology? Dr. Patricia Bath invented a laser device that became the basis for modern laser eye surgery, helping millions regain their sight. Let's talk civil rights. The March on Washington in 1963 was organized by an openly gay black man. Bayard Rustin played a key role in Dr. King's famous march, despite facing discrimination not just for being black, but for being gay. And what about the first feminist newspaper? In 1892, Josephine St. Pierre Ruffin founded The Woman's Era, the first newspaper created for and by black women. Speaking of early black towns, Nicodemus, Kansas was the first all-black town, founded in 1856 by formerly enslaved people seeking true freedom. And did you know that the first black woman to run a newspaper was Mary Ann Shadd Cary? She co-founded the Provincial Freeman in 1853, using it to fight for abolition and racial equality. Let's go back even further. Washington, D.C. wouldn't exist without Benjamin Banneker, a self-taught mathematician who helped design and survey the city in the 1700s. Now, let's talk military heroes. During World War II, the 761st Tank Battalion, nicknamed the Black Panthers, helped defeat the Nazis and liberate concentration camps. And speaking of financial history, did you know the first black-owned Wall Street brokerage firm opened in 1950? Ariel Investments led the way in pioneering black wealth in finance. Now, let's talk hidden black contributions to U.S. history. A black man helped build the White House, Philip Reed, an enslaved craftsman, played a crucial role in constructing the U.S. Capitol and casting the Statue of Freedom. And what about the first black FBI agent? James Wormley Jones became an FBI agent in the 1920s and infiltrated the KKK. When it comes to sports history, the first black heavyweight boxing champion was Jack Johnson, who won the World Heavyweight Championship in 1908, despite racist threats and death threats. Now, let's talk modern tech. Dr. Shirley Ann Jackson contributed to caller ID and touch-tone dialing, changing the way we communicate forever. And when it comes to transportation, did you know the first black-owned car company was founded in 1916? C.R. Patterson & Sons was the first and only black-owned car manufacturer in U.S. history. Now let's talk groundbreaking medical discoveries. Dr. William Augustus Hinton helped develop the Hinton test, which was used to detect syphilis and later adapted for leprosy research. And did you know Thomas L. Jennings was the first black person to receive a U.S. patent in 1821? He invented the dry cleaning process, something still used today. Speaking of tech, Evelyn Boyd Granville was one of the first black women with a Ph.D. in mathematics, helping create early computer technology. And what about everyday inventions? George T. Sampson patented the first automatic clothes dryer in 1892. And if you've ever mailed a letter, thank Philip Downing. He invented the first street mailbox with a hinged lid to protect letters from rain. Finally, let's talk NASA history. Dr. Mae Jemison became the first black woman in space in 1992, inspiring a new generation of scientists. And Dr. George E. Alcorn helped develop early touchscreen technology, influencing modern smartphones. From blood banks to computers, black pioneers have shaped nearly every part of our modern lives. Which fact surprised you the most? Drop a comment below.